Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Happy Hump Day to all of our friends here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Hupp, and right there is my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. Thank you very much for joining us here. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast as we continue to bring out good content, including earlier today where me and the CEO of Prime Sports World, Israel Rivera, we did our Fantasy Football Weekly show where we gave you our rankings for this week in fantasy. So hopefully you can win your matchups. But this show, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So before the season started, me and TJ did a show, and we predicted who was going to win the different awards before the season started, who was going to at the end. Things have certainly changed in the National Football League, so we're going to revisit those selections and let you know who we think are going to win those awards now. TJ, things have certainly changed when it comes to various awards when it comes to the National Football League, haven't they?
Absolutely, especially on my end.
Oh, my head too. Like I'm not even sure I remember who I had winning some of these awards. I'm gonna might have to go back and try to figure out if I saved that somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely thought I had it written down, but I didn't. So and that's on me. I know for a fact I had TJ Watt in the DPOY race, but he's missed so many games.
I'm sure did too. I mean, but nobody could have seen him getting injured.
Nah, especially injured in the first game. So
yeah, I had Josh Allen winning the MVP. I'm not saying he still can't win the MVP. I don't see it. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
I think that was pretty universal. Like that was. I think that was a universal across the whole panel. I think all of us had Josh Allen. Some like either first or second in the MVP, because like it was all like it was pegged for him to win, and obviously he's falling down the ladder.
I wouldn't say his bid is over. Like he could still turn around for the
no. It's definitely not over. It's definitely not over. He can.
But he's thrown some bad interceptions. He's made some bad decisions with the football throughout this season, and so we'll see how things end up shaking out. Let's talk about the awards. So these are what the awards we're going to revisit: MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. I have Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then Comeback Player of the Year. Let's talk first. Let's go from top to bottom and go Most Valuable Player of the Year. TJ, who do you have winning the MVP now, and who is your dark horse MVP candidate?
Tyreek Hill. I got Tyreek Hill winning it. I understand like they want to give it to Tua and they want to make it a quarterback stat, but Tyreek Hill has more receiving yards than most teams have as a team. Like that's insane. Like this one dude has more receiving yards than like 4 or 5 whole teams. That's insane.
And his impact on that team has been really basically incredible. Like they were already a pretty solid offense, but he's elevated them to another level. And in games that Tua has started, they haven't lost a game this season. Like they started and finished. So yeah, I don't necessarily hate that. Who do you have as your dark horse?
Who I have as my dark? Probably one of the quarterbacks because like I'm just tired of it. You already know how I feel. Like everybody says like quarterback's the most important position, but if you take away the weapons that the quarterback has to work with, some of these quarterbacks don't look too good. I.e. Aaron Rodgers. So if I had to pick a dark horse and traveled, I'd go. I'll leave it with Josh Allen. I'll leave it with Josh because, like you said, like he has, like there are games like the Kansas City game where he matched Pat Mahomes tit for tat. He matched Pat Mahomes tit for tat, and then you had the last 2 games against the Jets and the Vikings where he, he just didn't have. Well, no, like the Jets game was a bad game. He just didn't have a good game.
He didn't play well in that game, but I can't hold it against him. My MVP pick is actually Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are averaging 30 points a game, and they lose Tyreek Hill, and everybody thinks that this offense is going to fall off a cliff. But the one staple that's always going to be there is Patrick Mahomes. He's just that talented where he's able to carry this offense. I know he's got Travis Kelce, but Travis Kelce's kind of having a sort of down season by Travis Kelce standards. Yeah, by his standards. Like he hasn't been as nearly as dominant. He's still the best talent in the league, but he hasn't been nearly as dominant when it comes to his numbers this season. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes. My dark horse is Saquon Barkley.
I like that.
The Giants have turned around what was going to like they've turned around their entire season, and it's based on the fact that Saquon Barkley's been healthy this year, and they have a coach that believes in this offense and believes in Daniel Dimes, but it all revolves around Saquon Barkley. If the Giants end up with maybe the number one seed in the NFC, I think you'd have a hard time not giving that award to Saquon Barkley, even with this being a quarterback award as we talk about all the time,
All the
but.
time.
This Saquon Barkley's been he's been the most valuable player in the league, in my opinion. Like his impact on winning. You take Saquon Barkley off the Giants, they're a 2-win team.
Probably, and I don't with the Pat Mahomes pick. Like I don't hate that. Like, it was definitely going to be an adjustment for everyone around because Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill opened up everything for everybody else not named Tyreek Hill, right? So if you have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on the field, you can't like double. You can't go 1-on-1 with all of them because it's like they're gonna put up 50 points on you. So it's like if I have Tyreek Hill, I gotta put 2 on him off the top, which leaves a lot of 1-on-1 for Travis Kelce and everybody else. So if you take that away, it's like I don't have to worry about 90 to 100 catches, anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 receiving yards, and anywhere from 8 to 14 touchdowns. I don't have to worry about that from one dude. All right, but Pat Mahomes has done a great job of, all right, this week is Kelce. This week, Juju gonna have a game. This week, McCole Hardman gonna have.
Kadarius Toney's gonna have a game.
Kadarius Toney gonna have a game. So it's like he's just shushing up all the narratives that he had when he first got the quarterback job. It's like, remember everybody was saying like, oh, it's real easy to look good when you got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and I was like, all right, now one of those guys is gone. And the guys to replace him, they aren't all pros. Hell, they not even Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do has been pretty impressive. Taking a look at the latest odds. So these were last updated October 29th. So this is before the Jets game. This is before that Viking game. So Josh Allen still had the number one odds with Jalen Hurts as a close second, followed by Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. And shockingly, Tyreek Hill didn't even break the top 5, which is insane because he was putting up big numbers then too. So moving on from there, we'll talk about Coach of the Year. I honestly do not remember who I had as my Coach of the Year. I think somebody had. I think I may have Mike Tomlin as a dark horse. But I think it was just kind of hopeful thinking. I don't remember who I had as Coach of the Year, but things have certainly changed now. My Coach of the Year is actually Brian Daboll, the coach of the New York Football Giants. What he's done with this team has been nothing short of a miracle. If Christian Simpson was on this show, we remember when we did the preview show for the New York Giants, I think I had them winning like 3 games this season. Brian Daboll has changed the culture of that franchise. He's changed the culture of that team. Brian Daboll deserves all the credit in the world for the turnaround of the New York Giants. And then my dark horse is Pete Carroll. I think whatever team has a better record between Seattle and the Giants, that's who's going to win Coach of the Year. Because what Pete Carroll has done with the Seattle Seahawks team has to be given a round of applause. Like he's built this team back up. They're winning games. They're playing tough defense. And so now, and they're having people, he's gotten to the point now where people are questioning if it was Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson, as opposed to before. Everyone was like, yeah, it's Pete Carroll. He's the problem. Now when people are not so sure, Pete Carroll's done such a good job coaching Geno Smith, people are questioning if Pete Carroll was the issue there in Seattle.
That argument loses its muster a little bit when Pete Carroll continues to attack Russell Wilson and be petty, like when you say stuff like Geno Smith is going off the wristband, that's part of the reason why we're being so successful. And it's like, all right, dude, Russ isn't there anymore. There's no need to take shots at him. And Russ counters with, well, I won a lot of games not looking at that wristband. So, and I'm like, damn, Russ is kind of right. Like, he did win a lot of games, like, if that's the case. But for everything you said about Brian Daboll, you can say about Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, yeah.
And it's literally flipped the script, right? Minus and the Vikings didn't have a lot of injuries last year. They just lost a lot of games they probably should have won, right? Like they were one of the worst teams in one-score games last season. You flip that this year, they're one of the best, right? So it's last year. You can't sit here and tell me that every time there was a close game or a one-score game with the Vikings last year, they didn't feel like, damn, they're Vikings fans. Oh, damn, we're probably gonna lose this game. We're
No,
nah,
I totally
or
agree
not
with you on that.
or not surprised that they lost the game. This year, it's the complete opposite. And I know Christian wants to be like, they never close anybody out. And I'm like, that's not really a bad thing because guess what's going to happen in the playoffs? Close games. It's rare that you get to the playoffs and you blow somebody out. So you have a close game against the Bears. You have a close game against the Vikings. You have a
You
close
can go through
game,
their whole list of their schedule. Every game they've been sort of tested every single game this season. I mean, the
and it's
Dolphins
like,
came back and made that interesting. They stole one from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, this is a Vikings team that's proven, hey, we can win games when we need to. Then against the Taylor Heineke and the Commanders, that was a game they could have
yeah.
lost and they didn't.
And that's good because like that shows like to me that I'm like, all right, you're battle tested. You are if it's a close game, the palms ain't gonna get sweaty. You're all right, you can all right, woosah, take a minute. We've been here before, we know what to do, we're gonna do it, we're gonna walk out of here with a win. So yeah, for Kevin O'Connell is probably my coach of the year. My dark horse is either Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel. That can go a lot of ways. Mike McDaniel's could win it. Uh, Pete Carroll could still win it. Brian Daboll could win it. Like it's a myriad of ways that could go. I think my dark horse is someone between them three. It's probably Mike McDaniel because he's a first-time head coach too, and you got the whole issue that you had this past about a month ago with Tua not knowing what that was gonna go like that could have went south very fast. Like Tua could not still not be playing right now if that didn't go the way they wanted it to go. So I'm gonna go Kevin O'Connell is my coach of the year. I'm gonna go Mike McDaniel is my dark horse.
Moving on from there, we're going to talk about on the defensive side of the ball. Let's talk about defensive player of the year. Who do you have winning the award, and who is your dark horse?
Well, again, to start, T.J. Watt was my defensive player of the year. All right, T.J. Watt.
I think that's who I had too, but I honestly I just do not remember.
But T.J. Watt missed like 9 games, and I'm like, it's hard to win that when you miss so many games. It's oh my god. Do you have the numbers in front of you? Like, who's the betting favorite right now?
So I only have it for over like a couple weeks ago. Like I don't have it from like today even.
That's fine.
But back to coach of the year. So coach of the year. So Nick Sirianni, Brian Daboll, Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniel, and Doug Peterson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for coach of the year. Reminder: this is from the 29th of October. So before Halloween. So 3 weeks ago.
So like, do you have that for defensive player?
I have it for every award.
Okay, can you read off for DPOI?
So DPOI. So number one is Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, and Aaron Donald. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the only one on that list I like is Micah Parsons because his team's actually, winning games. Can we have it's rare that it happens, but you might have a kid win. You might have a guy win defensive player of the year and defensive rookie of the year. Like it might happen. We might see that.
It might happen.
It's gonna take a lot, but it's hard to pick anyone not named Micah Parsons right now. Right, like be fair. It's hard.
I think you can make the argument that Nick Bosa might be the best defensive player on the best defensive team in the NFL right now. And Nick Bosa is actually the guy I think is actually going to win the award. It's all said and done.
If I don't know, like they definitely have lost some games they had no business losing. Right, you lose week 1, and I get it. Like you lose week 1 to the Bills. What are they? 5-4, 6-5-4.
Yeah, they're 5-4. They're 5-4, but it's not because of Nick Bosa. I mean, he's got 9.
I know it's not because of Nick Bosa, but it's like usually. Best defense equates to a lot of wins because nobody's scoring on you. You have 4 losses.
I mean, you also got to think about it like this. I mean, so the 49ers, firstly, they're planning on Trey Lance being the starting quarterback, and then he
I get
gets
that.
hurt week 2, and then, Jimmy Garoppolo has to come in and take over. You have George Kittle misses the entire preseason. I mean, they just traded for Christian McCaffrey, changing their entire offense. I mean, this is a team that's won, 3 in a row now?
And I get that, but it's also like,
2
let's
in a
not act
row.
like
And their losses are against Kansas City, the Falcons, Denver, and the Bears. The Bears, the game that Trey Lance, did he get hurt during that game, right? Trey Lance? Or was that the
the
game?
Bears.
Yeah.
No, it was week 2. He played the whole game
Yeah.
against the
Yeah.
Bears.
So,
He just
so
didn't
yeah, I
look
mean,
good.
and then they were adjusting to having Jimmy Garoppolo in that game against Denver, and somehow Denver won a game.
Okay,
So,
yeah, right, right. And to be fair, like they did, like from it's now public knowledge that this all season they didn't even give Jimmy Garoppolo a playbook. Like
yeah.
they
I
didn't
mean,
give, they,
he wasn't really given reps. So
he
yeah, the
wasn't
fact
giving.
that
Well, he also had the shoulder issue. Like it was a lot. It was a long summer for Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, this defense was giving up basically nothing when it comes to points. So yeah, I got Nick Bosa. My dark horse is Matthew Judon, who actually leads the NFL in
I
sacks.
like that one. I like that. I like Matthew Judon.
Yeah, he's got 11
He
and a half sacks
is
on the season. He's got
he is definitely falling. Remember how Chandler Jones used to have like 12 sack seasons all the time in Arizona when they were terrible, and everybody's like, "Oh, he should win Defense Player of the Year," and it's like, no, dude, he's winning 3 games a year. He's it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. But I like Matthew Judon. I think my dark horse, Sauce Gardner, man. It's hard to look at. Like it's hard to and a distant, no, not a distant, and another rookie that's right behind him that could win for dark horse is Tariq Woolen. Like,
I do not think he will win.
whoa, hey,
I don't think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
I said dark horse. He's a dark horse.
I mean,
That's like Sauce Gardner is.
you can also make the argument that the kid in Houston, what's his name?
Stingy.
Stingley. Yeah, he's been awesome this season too. He just plays on a terrible football team because
Plays
so
on a
nobody
terrible
notices. Like he literally has been awesome this season. I don't think he's allowed a touchdown this year either.
I'll have to. Yeah, I gotta look that up.
Like he's been legit this season for real.
Because I think he missed a few games at the start of the season because I don't remember him playing against the Bears. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like I don't, because I
So
just
yeah,
don't remember.
he has missed a couple games here and there. But yeah, he has. So he's played. What is this? Let me pull this up. He's played 9 games. So he's played every game this season for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
But I mean, he
But
hasn't
yeah.
allowed. I mean, he hasn't allowed a touchdown this season. So.
But yeah, defense player. I like Michael Parsons. I like your Nick Bosa pick, and I definitely like your Matthew Judon pick. Like if New England somehow creeps into a wild card spot, you may have. Yeah. You gotta.
It's gonna be on the back of that defense. So the dude has 11 and a half sacks so far this
Yeah.
season, which is
If they somehow creep, and they also got a rookie that could sneak in there for defensive rookie of the year too. The corner. I can't think of his name right now.
Josh Jones or Justin Jones. His last name is for sure Jones.
I'm gonna look it up right now
I got it actually.
because he had that pick. Jack Jones.
Yeah,
Is it Jack
yeah,
Jones?
okay. Mm-hmm.
Because he had that pick 6 against the Packers.
But moving on from that war, let's talk about Offensive Player of the Year. And my number one player for Offensive Player of the Year is actually going to be Tyreek Hill. I think he was on pace to break Calvin Johnson's record. I think because of his last game, he's no longer on that pace.
He can pick it back up real quick. He could
pick it back up real quick. But yeah, Tyreek Hill is my Offensive Player of the Year. The difference that he's made to this offense in Miami is like night and day. He's made a big difference for Tua. It's all centered around Tyreek Hill being there and not being there. Tyreek Hill has been awesome this season. He's my Offensive Player of the Year. My dark horse is another wide receiver. It's just Justin Jefferson. I think he may have been my prediction. Actually, you know what? Travis Kelce was my prediction.
Travis Kelce was.
Yeah, it was for sure my prediction for Offensive Player of the Year before the season started. My dark horse is going to be Justin Jefferson, though. I just think he's been so good this season. It's going to be a hard time to not give him some sort of award this year. Like he's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. That's why I have him in my MVP. But it's unlikely that he will win MVP. So I agree with you on the Offensive Player of the Year. Not for Tyreek Hill. I just picked him to be my MVP to be different.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's 100% gonna win Offensive Player of the Year. It's gonna be hard to find someone to take it away from him, and that's being 100% honest. I can't see anybody taking it. So
No,
yeah,
I was looking through it, and like running backs, and like
no,
none of them having like Hall of Fame type seasons, and like Tyreek Hill for sure is. Yeah, but so fun fact, so 1993, Jerry
okay.
Rice won Offensive Player of the Year as a wide receiver. That did not happen again until 2009 when Michael Thomas won the award as a wide receiver position, and it did not take that long as Cooper Kupp won it last year. So I think you'll be back-to-back wide receivers winning this award this year. It'll
Wait,
either be
so the year that what year did you say Michael Thomas won it?
2019,
2019. That's the year he broke the record, right?
correct?
The catch. Jeez,
So
that's a long
the
time.
year that Calvin Johnson broke Jerry Rice's record, he didn't even win Offensive Player of the Year. Who won Offensive Player of the Year that year?
Probably Adrian Peterson.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, moving on from there, let's talk a little bit on the rookie side of this. Let's talk about Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you think is going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year? It's unfortunate, Brees Hall got hurt, so he's no longer going to probably in the mix for that award. But who do you have winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Well, all signs indicate to Kenneth Walker. All right, like he's getting the reps. He didn't have a good game against the Bucks, but that's not here nor there. That's the NFL. Welcome to it. You're not, you're not gonna be good every game. It happens. But yeah, all signs indicate that Kenneth Walker could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's like you said, it's unfortunate because Brees Hall was going to run away with it. I don't even think it was going to be close.
I tend to agree with you. Yeah, I think the way that the Jets were using him, he was for sure going to be that guy. Who do you have as your dark horse?
Is there a dark horse? Like I'm being serious.
Yeah, there are for sure some definite dark horses.
Oh man.
So I'll give you this. So the guy
Texas running back.
the guy I think actually should probably win is Dameon Pierce.
Pierce, yeah.
Running back for the Houston Texans. He's been the starter since basically day one. He's put up some pretty big numbers and pretty big moments for that team. My dark horse is Evan Neal, the offensive tackle for the New York Giants. I just think that he has solidified like that running attack. Him and Andrew Thomas have been a really good 1-2 punch there in New York. I know Evan Neal has literally probably no chance of winning this award, but at some point, like when you look at the landscape of the offensive rookies this season, none of them have been so good where you're like, that's been the offensive rookie of the year. I think there's going to be a season at some point where they look at an offensive lineman and be like, this guy is a changer. He's changed the culture of this team. And Evan Neal is that guy on the Giants. He's been the best offensive tackle out of this draft class. I mean, you could also make the argument that Charles Cross has been awesome this season.
Oh yeah, both those tackles in Seattle, both those because like they're operating with two rookie outside tackles.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
like,
there's good. Like this feels like a season where you look at the landscape and like none of the playmakers on offense have been so good that you're like. I mean, Drake London's been sort of overwhelming. Chris Olave's been hit or miss. Garrett Wilson's been kind of injured and in and out of the lineup.
and he got out to a strong start too.
True. And then Dameon Pierce has been okay on a bad football team. Kenneth Walker wasn't even getting first team reps before he had an injury opened up the door for him. Obviously, Brees Hall got hurt, so he's obviously not going to win the award. But like when you look at the landscape, like this would be the season that an offensive lineman wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
And I would love that. I would love it. I would pop a bottle of champagne if an offensive lineman won a significant award like that. Because to your point, it's a great point, all right? Like Chris Olave has been hit or miss. Like we only seem to like look at him when they only throw a deep ball. right?
Yeah, yeah.
Garrett Wilson got off to a strong start, and now he's kind of hit the quote unquote rookie wall in the NFL. Kenneth Walker, I think that's why people have Kenneth Walker as the rookie of the year because he wasn't getting first team reps, and then you just throw him in there, and it's like boom, it's like oh he should have been starting the whole time. Damian Pierce is playing great on a 1-win team,
Yep.
right? And so it's like how are you the rookie of the year? Like you're not contributing to wins. It's like that. It's like the NBA equivalent of giving rookie of the year to a rookie that averaged like 20 points on a 12-win team. Like we used to see that all the time, right? So Evan Neal, I like bro, like that would.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, this is gonna be the year. Like none of the skill position rookies of the year have been all that good. Like they have had moments where they've been really good.
I would
To the other
love
side
to
of this, though, to the other side of this, their defensive rookie of the year. There have been some defensive players that are making some real impact on this season. And my defensive rookie of the year, I know I'm probably taking it from you, but it's been Sauce Gardner. This guy has just been he's risen up to every challenge that's been put in front of him. He's been awesome this season. And I love the moxie this guy plays with. Like he just like he's been everything you would want to take it if you were going to take a corner in the top 5. This is what you wanted to come out of it. Sauce Gardner's been awesome.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I was stuck between him and Tariq Woolen because
That's why I was my
everybody,
dark horse.
everybody's on the Sauce Gardner train, rightly so. But Tariq Woolen is literally just the mirror image of Sauce Gardner with like 2 more inches. Like Tariq Woolen's like a legit 6'4" corner, right? And a dark horse there's a lot of dark horses. Be real. There's a lot of dark horses. You got Aiden Hutchinson. He leads all rookie defensive players with 5 sacks. Right? And Aiden Hutchinson has been phenomenal for the Detroit Lions. Jaquan Brisker here in Chicago, one of the lead, like he leads. I think he's like top 3 on the team in tackles. He has 3 sacks.
And he has that insane interception, like for real.
Yeah, while getting, he also got kicked in the nuts. So
yeah.
And I had another one. I forgot who it was. It'll come back to me. But yeah, Tariq Woolen, Sauce Gardner. It's between those 2 dudes. And
yeah, I have Tariq Woolen as my my dark horse, but this Sauce Gardner is going to win this award for real.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you might as well just pencil his name on the award now.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Yeah.
Like unless like George Karlaftis just goes bananas for the rest of the season, or Jermaine Johnson.
Like if Aiden Hutchinson somehow gets like 10 sacks as a rookie.
Well, I mean, he's had a really good season. I mean, he had 3 sacks in one game earlier this season. How many sacks does he even have right now?
Who Aiden Hutchinson? He has 5. I think it's either 5 or 5.5.
Well, I mean, he had 3 in one game. He's got that super nice pick. Yeah, he's got 5.5 so far this season.
So it's like, yeah. So if he somehow gets the double-digit sacks, you got like you may have to look at that. So it's like the number of sacks versus whatever Sauce Gardner puts up. I don't even know how many picks Sauce Gardner has.
I think he's only got the 1, or he might have just 2.
But you can't use that against him because it's like
the other thing is he's only got 2, but people aren't really throwing at him.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
I mean, DJ Reed's had a great season too there for the New York Jets. But yeah, I think Sauce Gardner for sure is going to win this award. If you look at the odds, he's number 1. Devin Lloyd is number 2. Kayvon Thibodeau number 3. Tariq Woolen 4. Aiden Hutchinson 5.
That's the point I was. I remember we were doing the recap show on I think Monday, and I was making the point about the Giants. I was like, he may not like he only has like 1 sack, and that's Kayvon Thibodeau, but he doesn't care because they're winning, right? Like Kayvon Thibodeau, like he was like super hyped coming into the season, and like for a while there, he was the consensus number 1 overall pick. Then college football season happens. And it doesn't go that way. Like it happens, right? It happens to a lot of them. But I'm like, yeah, he's not putting up their numbers. He only has 1 sack on the season, but they're 7-2. He doesn't care that he's not a world beating on defense so far. Right there, winning. But
Yep.
it'll come to him. It'll come to him.
So the odds for offensive rookie of the year, obviously this is 3 weeks ago. Hall was number 1, followed by Damian Pierce, Kenneth Walker the third, Chris Olave, and Drake London.
They should do
obviously
a better job at updating those because it's November.
Yeah, this is a Vegas Insider website, so I just couldn't find better odds anywhere on the internet. So I guess we'll have to just roll with it. By the way, fun fact. Okay, so back to 2012, rolling back the clock, 10 years ago when I was still sort of in my prime. Adrian Peterson won the MVP that season with 2,097 yards rushing.
That's him coming off of what you call it.
Yep. Peyton Manning finished second for the Denver Broncos in MVP. Calvin Johnson did not even get a single MVP vote, which is shocking to me. Then AP Offensive Player of the Year also went to Adrian Peterson. You do know where Calvin Johnson finished in Offensive Player of the Year voting that season?
Third.
No, fourth. Do you know who finished 1, 2, 3 before him?
So you already just said AP.
Mm-hmm.
What year is this? 2012?
2012.
Brady?
Brady is third.
Brady's third. Is it a quarterback?
Yeah, it is. It should be obvious.
Is it Rodgers?
No, Rodgers finished fifth. It's Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning finished second in Offensive Player of the Year, that voting. Calvin Johnson was fourth in a year where he broke a Jerry Rice record. He couldn't even break the top 3 in Offensive Player of the Year voting. Like, what was it? What used to happen with it? Like, what is happening? Like, he had 1,900 yards receiving, and yet he's still fourth in Offensive Player of the Year voting. Like, that award has certainly changed over the last, 10 years or so. Because, I don't think you can take that award away from Tyreek Hill now. But yeah, moving on to the final award, let's talk about Comeback Player of the Year. Who do you have winning it, and who's your dark horse?
Comeback Player of the Year is probably Geno Smith. And I understand that award was created for guys who were injured and came back and had a great season. But you can make, like, Geno Smith hasn't been playing. Like, he's been mostly a backup since leaving the Jets, and he was definitely a backup all those years he's been in Seattle up until now. And he has the Seattle Seahawks first in the NFC West. If the playoffs were to start today, they'd have a home game in the playoffs.
No, nobody could have seen that coming.
Nobody could have seen that coming.
He's actually my dark horse. I have Saquon Barkley winning Comeback Player of the Year. It's just based on the simple fact that Saquon Barkley, I just feel like this injury, I know Geno Smith wasn't playing, but Saquon Barkley has made a night and day difference when it comes to the New York Giants and between having him and not having him, because I don't really know exactly what Geno Smith, like what he's actually meant to that. Like, I'm sure they've been better, but I mean, this is a Seattle team that wasn't like destitute last season. I mean, they were like right about what they are now. Like, they were like 500.
Right, so answer me this, right? Answer me this. Are the Seahawks in the same position if that's Drew Lock getting the snaps?
I don't, probably not. But the thing is, we don't really know. We have no idea because Drew Lock was never given a fair shake literally anywhere he's played.
I like that. I like that answer. Thank you. Okay, you don't have to go like that's really the answer I was looking for.
I mean, yeah, Drew. I mean, it's hard to really say. I mean, Geno Smith, the story is incredible. I mean, he's like, they wrote me off, but I never wrote back. Good for you, Geno Smith. You play with that chip on your shoulder. Continue playing well. But for me, Saquon Barkley has been Comeback Player of the Year.
He's my dark horse. That's the answer I was looking for, because you got folks on the internet that would say absolutely not, the Seahawks wouldn't be in this position, and I'm like, no, you have to consider everything. All right, like, you literally got to consider all of that. And
I mean, Drew Lock has talent. I mean, there's clearly some talent there. He was a second round pick, but he just hasn't really had a fair shake anywhere he's been. He's constantly hurting Denver, and they constantly wanted to use somebody that wasn't him. The Geno Smith story is really nice, but for my money, Saquon Barkley's been Comeback Player of the Year.
That's fair. I have no argument with that.
And that's been us revisiting our midseason awards, with the NFL awards. Let us know down in the comment section what you think, who's going to take home the various awards in the National Football League. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and watch that fantasy football show as we put that live earlier today. Me and TJ will probably be on tomorrow doing the Games of the Week show, so you don't want to miss that content. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins.
Before you go, they have finally released the top 10 order for the draft. So that's another aspect we can start having like little mini shows on. So it's just the top 10. The rest of the order will come as the season goes. But just to make a note of it, the top 10 as of right now, Texans have the first overall pick, Vegas, Carolina, Philly from the New Orleans trade.
Does Vegas even have their first round pick?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah, they're number 2. They're second overall.
I kind of thought that pick was going to go to Green Bay.
No, it was a different first round pick.
Okay.
I guess.
All right.
So it's like Houston, Vegas, Carolina, Philly from New Orleans, Jacksonville at 5, the Bears at 6, Seattle via Denver at 7, Detroit via the Rams at 8, Houston via Cleveland at 9. So Houston has 2 top 10 picks, and Pittsburgh at 10.
So yeah, that's something we can certainly explore. But yeah, David Huppin, TJ Hopkins. TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and I will screenshot this and send it to the group. So you can
dude. You have a good night, man. Have a good night at work, dude. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
See ya.
Peace, brother.